technical hitch, but the studio has taken care of it. As I was saying, welcome to another episode of the War Zone right here on ABS TV. Mike FUSI, your host. Today, we are delighted to bring to you the highlights of our struggle and other events around the globe. Again, I would like to apologize for the lateness of this program. I had to, at least, like I told you, we had to tweak a few things at the studio to make things, to bring this program to you. And we are here now, so without much waste of time, I would like to go straight to what is happening on the ground. Well, before I do that, I want to take this moment to extend our congratulations and salutations to all of the brave fighters on the ground fighting to liberate our homeland from the hands of the enemy. We have actions both in, of course, Bui is always boiling. Bui is always boiling. We have some actions coming in from Fako and Meme, from the Fako Meme Unity Warriors, did some excellent work down there. We also had some actions coming in from Goketunja, and we are getting some reports of some action around Mezam against some La République du Cameroon enablers who have been warned severally. They have been warned severally that Ambazonia is not welcoming or will not welcome anything that has to do with the CPDM or La République du Cameroon within our territory. But there are some enablers within us who continue to defy these orders. And they think that they can come in and do whatever they want and defy the orders that we have put on the ground, that henceforth we are Ambazonians, we are Southern Cameroonians, and anything that has to do with, say, elections in La République du Cameroon will not be welcome in Ambazonia. This message has been sent out on several occasions in many ways, audios, video, you name it. But there are some within us who just will not get this message. So we have not a lot of time today, but I would like for us to just get this video of some enablers who were caught distributing what we consider contraband material. Contraband material, that means material that is not allowed within our territory, that has to do with the La République du Cameroon elections, the CPDM, voter registration cards and identity cards, all that stuff is prohibited in Ambazonia. And these people were found in violation of that prohibition. And our liberation fighters got hold of some of these enablers, and they just made them understand that this is not
they will campaign for Santa. Watch one. To one show me the who was him. I will give from the time to go some people and give back the work at the losing them. Now, block like this, I say. Oh, tell me. I say. You be able to Santana, but that campaign was Santana. You be there, no? Okay, that means now when I one would know. Now when I one would know. Now when I mean, if you for village here. No. I can make I don't ever try again. I don't ever try, I'll come over the work, I will come out. You will come over the work. I will come up. If you don't do the work, the beginning don't make an police and fine you don't take the ID card to do. No, don't make them there. That's it. I will make ID card. I will make ID card at the border. Not the border. Bring me that voters card. Not the border. Not the border. Who's that they come out? The one waiting for us. The one waiting for us. Now the one they give a walk. Now the one they give a walk. Say me the share that never walk. For which kind of walk? You know the watch? The amount of card them so they give me share. No, now you go to make for people. Wait, but daddy, not for office. Office. Not for office, daddy. The office don't kill you now, so how you go there? Why, I beg when I choose me.
Who they choose who?
They choose who you create.
I beg, like and so. I beg, daddy, I beg, daddy, I beg una.
Yesterday we are asked to say. Yesterday we are asked to say.
If they be tell you say they will move this thing for your house before free,
I beg to see something for husband. This thing I took it, not in this, but
you will call through Jonathan.
number.
But you the work now for who? Who come first, collect first? You the work now for who?
No, na for government, but
Now for government now.
I don't come up. I beg.
Now for government now. Now move you. Now move you.
I'll resign.
Now move you for the work where you say you go come out. Now move you.
Yeah, Mister, I will come up. I'll come up, daddy. I'll resign. I will resign. I will resign, daddy.
You will wash your son so before you come out there.
I beg, daddy.
Who comes so me a film there Toto?
Like this. Then I want to do it because they will campaign for Santa.
Let them be at this.
What's ahead?
Now, see what I'm saying, you know. Begin wash. Wash fine. To one show me the who was him. I will give from the time to go some people and give back the work at the losing them. Now, block like this, I say. Oh, talk with me. I say. You be there with Santana, but that campaign was Santana.
I be dead.
You be there, no?
I be dead.
Okay, let me see. Now, when I do one wood, no.
I be dead.
Now, when I one wood, no.
I mean, if you did it.
For village here.
No. Can make. They can.
No, I don't ever try again. I don't ever try, pa.
You don't ever
I'll come over the work. I will come out.
You will come over there. Work.
I will come back.
If you don't do it,
Yes, fellow Ambassadors, it is sad to see this happening when people choose to expose themselves to enormous risk for peanuts. If you were to look into what these people are given as compensation for the risk they have to take to go around distributing this material and knowing that this is material that our restoration fighters have indicated that is banned in Amazonia. This material, the production, distribution, whatever, sharing of anything that has to do with La Republic of Cameroon's elections, all that is banned in Amazonia. And these people know it. And they choose to violate this, knowing the risk that comes with doing such things. So I would like to bring in my panel so we can briefly discuss this before moving on to other topics. Dr. Ngwambe, Chairman Patrick, I don't know, VP Jenny was trying to log in, but he had was having some issues with his connection. I don't know if that has been rectified. But Chairman Patrick and Dr. Ngwambe, please, can you come in?
Well,
Yes.
thank you so much, Comrade Mike and Chairman Dr. Ngwambe. I just want to say this is a moment for everybody to be watching and see exactly what we have been talking about for all these years. Ambazonia is a no-go zone for anything when it comes to La Republic. If any Ambazonian is still out there carrying CPDM materials, then they do not love themselves. They do not care about the killing. They are not aware of what has been going on to our people for all these years. And they don't care about themselves because if you cannot even have a road to carry these materials to the local population, but you are still struggling to carry these things to the people, what are you trying to accomplish? That is wickedness, and I do not feel sorry for any of them. And we are going to make sure anybody, even if we hear, if we see that you've carried any of this material, even if they don't have them with you, or you do not have those materials at the present moment, if you were involved in facilitating the movement of this material into our territory, you will be taken out, you will be prosecuted by the Ambazonian law. We do not want to see any of our people go through what some of these people are going through, but you have to learn that it is not business as usual when it comes to anything elections in Ambazonia.
Thank you, Chairman Patrick. Dr. Ngwambe, if you are there, I don't know what What's your opinion about the video you just saw there, or the videos?
Yeah, first of all, let me start off by greeting our liberation forces. You all are doing a great job. Our people back home, our thoughts are with you. As we go through this liberation movement to free our people and to free our homeland. And I also want to greet you, Tom, Mike, and my brother, Chairman Patrick, and hopefully VP Engineer will be joining us shortly, hopefully. So with regards to this particular situation, where would you see on for screen? So since 1961, La Republic du Cameroon don't they wash enablers, where did they enable them for misrule in Doti? And this what we're seeing on the screen is just the visual presentation of what La Republic has been doing to our people, has been doing to our nation, has been doing to even the politicians who, they have manipulated into doing all the kind of mischief that has happened to our part of the country and to the formerly French Cameroon and Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia when they were united. So any man where he insist he go carry, he go continue for enable La Republic du Cameroon for the misrule, for the suck our resources, take them back for La Republic du Cameroon where we see no benefit. Any person where it is say they go involve themselves for this kind of nonsense for to promote the dictatorship of dictatobia, for the promote the subjugation of the Ambazonian people. You have yourself to blame. Ambazonians are on a liberation trajectory. We are fighting to secure a homeland for ourselves that will be governed by Ambazonians, and not by any Betty Bulu person, and definitely not by the CPDM or dictatobia. So why these people, they're doing whatever they're doing, to continue to sell us into slavery? They pick their shock, and they're picking the punishment that they're receiving. The message that they send to the international community when they do this kind of stuff, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, Dr. Ngwambe, as you rightly said there, the bottom line is, and the tragic thing about this whole affair, about the distribution of electoral material and all that stuff, is the fact that this exercise is just an exercise in futility. It is an exercise in futility because at the end of the day, all this registration campaigns and everything is just a waste of time, because at the end of the day, it is the person that the CPDM wants who will win the election. The process is all rigged. And then people have to go out and expose themselves to this risk unnecessarily. Unnecessary. This is not an election. It's a selection. It is a selection process, not an election. Because you cannot go out there and you think that you will conduct, you expose yourself or register and be a candidate and campaign. And even if you have the votes behind you, that if you do not have the blessing of the CPDM that you're going to win, you will not win. You will not win. We know that. So why do people choose to do this? Why do people choose to expose themselves? You go out and saying we're distributing from the very registration of or the establishment of identity cards. The rigging starts from there. They select those whom they want to establish ID cards for, being those that are going to vote for the CPDM. When you go there and they know that you are going to vote for the opposition, they refuse to give you an identity card. We have heard those complaints. So what is all this nonsense for? I have said that, and I keep saying this every time when I come here, that if La Republic du Cameroon citizens want to fix their country, they should be ready, they should prepare and go in for a revolution. They have seen what is happening in Kenya, and we're going to talk about that very soon. But depending on some kind of election that is going to bring change in that damn country, it's a complete waste of time. It is a complete waste of time. But the message here is this, the take-home message here is this. If you are an enabler and you are planning to take part in any elections conducted by La Republic du Cameroon within the territory of the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia, this is what awaits you. This is exactly what awaits you. We will arrest you and we will set an example on you. That is all we have to say here. There's no need belaboring the point. If you choose to follow their example, that is what awaits you. You don't know when these guys will pounce on you, and when they pick you, you will start bathing in dust and promising not to do it again, just like they are doing. But by then, it would have been too late. Let us move on to the next topic. During the course of the week, was it 2 days ago? As we have warned, and I remember the last time I was here, Dr. Ngwame, you were here with me. When these, some of our misguided brothers and sisters were insisting on this thing about a change of taxi color. And some of these guys were deceived to go out there and to burn down the taxis of some of our brothers and sisters who are barely struggling on the ground. And when I came here, I said that these boys who are running around with these guns and committing these crimes, that these boys will die. I said it just last week. I said these boys will die. And when they die, their blood will go on Ayabacho and those who were calling for this nonsense. Just 2 days ago, 2 of them were brought down. 2 of them were killed. They were exposed and killed. Just as I said, because you cannot go out and you engage in acts of molestation against the very people you're supposed to protect. And then you expect that when the enemy comes, they will be there for you. It does not happen. Just as I said, these boys are being deceived to go out there and expose themselves to be killed for no reason. We have seen it time and time and time again. We have seen it many times. When these boys are, people sit in the diaspora and they deceive them to go out, especially when you are doing things against your own very civilian population. That is the most unwise thing for any liberation fighter to do. You are supposed to be in good terms with those who are fighting to protect. They are supposed to be a cover. That's how it works. But when you turn your back on them, they will turn you over to the enemy. And that is exactly what happened to these guys, and they were killed. So, General Patrick, to you there, about what happened to these poor boys, I should say, who were deceived by the ADF leadership that is sitting safely in the diaspora, sending these boys to go out and enforce some kind of stupid change of taxi color, something that cannot be enforced at this time. And now these boys have been killed. I have not heard any of them come out and say anything and claim that's the trophy they were going for, to expose these boys to be killed. Chairman Patrick, what do you have to say to this?
Comrade Mike, I just want to say, when you see any country that doesn't have a good foundation, you understand that they are going to end up with a dictatorship. We have communicated this to the Amazonian people, that we need to start by building a good foundation to take away that mentality of dictatorship in Amazonia. What Ayabacho has been doing is creating the enabling environment for a dictatorship in Amazonia if we are not careful and we do not stop it. These boys, I would say they are all Amazonians. I feel bad when I see any Amazonian. It doesn't matter where you belong, being taken out for the nonsense that is being perpetrated by the ADF. When the people rose up and said, no, Amazonia are not ready for a change or for any kind of drastic measures that would be identifying Amazonians, handing them over to La Republique to be killed, and Cho Ayaba doesn't want to listen, and he's sit there every day trying to make sure he is making the Amazonian people to become vulnerable and to be taken out by La Republique. No Amazonian. We have all involved ourselves in this revolution because we want to make sure we protect our population. And that is the only essence that everybody is fighting for. But if you go out and create or make policies that will be affecting or making the population to be suffering and going through what the ADF has been doing to the people of Bamenda, then you are not doing any justice to yourself as an Ambazonia or to the people on the ground. We can bring out some drastic policies, but that is only going to happen when we have our land. We can control what we do and we can enforce it. How does Ayabacho think? If he is a normal person, this is somebody they call him doctor. If you have a mind of your own and you can think right, why do you think anybody with the same that color taxi will not be targeted by the La Republique thugs that are still roaming our streets? He should be ashamed of himself. And any
To your point
Amazonian
there, to your point
citizen.
there, Chairman Patrick, it is not like it has not happened. It has happened already. A few of these desperate taxi drivers tried to change their own taxi colors, and they were picked up. And to this day, we hear that their whereabouts is not even known. Nobody knows where they are. Their cars have been impounded. So who is now going to rescue these people that have been taken in? Who knows where they are or what is happening to them? What is the ADF and all those who thought they could implement this policy? What are they doing to get these people safely back to their families and get their vehicles back to them? You know, you cannot just think about something and say, okay, do this, you do this. You have to have a system in place that will protect those who have to respect that policy. If you cannot provide protection to those who have to respect that policy, then you have no moral grounds on which to stand and implement it. And that is what we are seeing here. Dr. Ngombe, what do you have to say to this?
Well, I mean, you know, for those who may know who Chairman Mao Zedong is, Chairman Mao Zedong is he was a revolutionary. He was a liberation fighter, just like our brothers on the battlefield. He was Chinese, one of the founding fathers of modern day China. He is actually someone who has won a liberation struggle, because for those who know history, the Chinese actually had to fight a liberation struggle against Japan. And one of the things, and the reason why I bring him up is because I want me Ambazonia them, especially I fight that, and may we learn from people them where they don't succeed. And Chairman Mao Zedong, na person we don't succeed. And Chairman Mao be talk say, I'll talk in English, then I'll put that for pidgin. Chairman Mao be talk say, it is only undisciplined troops who make the people their enemy, and who, like the fish out of its native elements, cannot survive. For pidgin, he talk say, not only troops, not only military forces them, liberation fighter them, where they no get discipline, where when they turn the population against them, they no go be able to survive for that natural element, because they need that natural element for survive. Now the thing with Chairman Mao.
Exactly.
So wait to be the message. Wait to be the message for our liberation fighter. Our liberation fighter, especially the one the way they don't be misguided, or where they don't check this fake notion, say they get for make the people they suffer because they suffer inside bush. No be so they defy liberation struggle, my brother. If Ayabacho no be get the sense for at least give una good advice, may una at least listen for people the way they don't actually win liberation struggle. And our Chinese brother Chairman Mao Zedong, na person we don't win liberation struggle, and so he talk. And we even take example again from Chinese history for why this talk they make sense. During Chairman Mao and Chiang Kai-shek, their own struggle where they be the struggle against each other, Chiang Kai-shek be flood some region of China where he be killed hundreds of and millions of Chinese people. And guess what be happen? That act where Chiang Kai-shek be do, he be turn the Chinese population against and they instead decide for side with Chairman Mao. So what is that showing? It is showing that you know it no makes sense for directly target your population for mischief or harm, because you go push that population into the arms of your enemy. And that is why we have been all Ambazonia, all right-minded Ambazonia, all Ambazonia where they get conscience, all Ambazonia where they get empathy for our population. Now, why we don't fight this particular issue? In this issue that we're speaking against, this policy is not because it's from Dr. Ayabacho. And technically, If we want to
It's
believe what he
a
said,
bad
he's saying
policy.
it, he's
It's
not
just a
saying
bad policy. Yeah, it is
it's just
just
a
a
bad
bad
policy.
policy. And he
It has
has a
absolutely
knack
nothing
for,
to do with him.
he has a knack for coming up with these bad policies. That's the problem. He has a knack for coming up with these bad policies. And one thing that I have said before is a good leader is one that listens to the population. You listen to those you are leading. When you come up with a policy and people say, no, this policy is bad, you should be able to listen and change your direction. You don't put your head down and say, just because I've come up with this thing, it must go ahead. No, you have to listen to the people. You are there for them. You are their servant, and you do what they want. You are not there to do what you want. That is how it's supposed to be. So the message I have for anyone who is still fighting under the ADF is this: for when I did down, when I fight for the ADF, I get this message for now. If you say you fight for the ADF and they send you, you go out, go do something, you know, say, you know, be right, and you do go down, now you there for down, now your life be at risk. When I don't see those, when I two brothers where they don't burn them, kill them, burn them, now they don't die. I have a child day alive, it chop you, it live you, you know, you don't even care. I never even hear come out give any condolence to the families where that picking they come out from. You know, they care about anybody. It is just when they kill this one, it just move on to the next one, the next victim. You go take them up, say, "Oh, I'm pointing to this." That way, not just an illusion of power. Small time you go, you saying you go do some bad thing, they kill you. You go for the next person, the next victim. It is not worth it. It not be worth it. Make una need to follow bad orders from people where they did send when I'm gonna go do things where it need to move the struggle forward in any way. Those things we una do and it need to help the struggle in any way. It turn the population against Wuna. Now why that they kill Wuna? If you look carefully, Dr. Mwambe, now ADF fighters where the population don't turn against and they don't kill plenty of them just within the past few months from Momo to Mezam. They don't kill plenty of them just because of this bad work where they did one. They never kill any other person. No other genuine restoration fighters, the population never turned them over. They're only ADF because of the rough work where they did one. So if you deal within the ADF, you want to continue with this kind of behavior, now wait it out, now they wait it out, wait you. So it be up to you if you value your life. I even advise you to get out of the ADF. Get out of it. It's a sinking boat. The ADF is a sinking boat. Get out before you go under water with it. That's my advice to you. Get out of it. It's not a place to be for any genuine liberation fighters. If you're there and anything happens to you, it's on you. It's your problem. You know what you're doing, and that what you're doing is wrong. If you're staying in there, that means you want to share in the criminal in their criminal behavior. And anything that befalls you, you ask for it. Now, Dr. Ngwambe and Chairman Patrick, I would like for us to, unfortunately, we started rather late and we don't have much time today, so we'll kind of rush through the program. The next thing is this example that we have seen happening in Kenya, where the people decided to come out and to protest a law that was passed, which they deemed not to be fair to them. Just as we Ambazonians came out in September of 2018, and we can see the marked difference between the way the Kenyans were treated. Though some people died, not to the extent at which we were killed. I think more than 100 of our citizens were mowed down. And not only did it happen on that day, but La République du Cameroon criminal soldiers continued even after that with breaking into houses, killing and shooting people and taking some to jail and molesting girls and all that stuff. And that is when this resistance started. So we have seen the way what has happened in Kenya. We have seen the way their politicians have reacted. Though from the onset, the reaction was not the best, but they soon learned their lesson and did the right things. For example, the president decided to withdraw the bill that the population was protesting against, and he expressed his sympathy to those whose family members had been killed during this protest. Now, I want us to pay close attention to one member of parliament, Kenyan member of parliament. Let us just listen to an excerpt of what she has to say. And then we compare this, we contrast this with the way those who call themselves parliamentarians in the Republic conduct themselves. Let's listen.
I rarely wake up in the morning wishing for my eyesight to be restored. But what a sight to be able to behold. This last week had me aching with desire to see my fellow youth in the most spectacular display of patriotism, camaraderie, and putting up a first-rate masterclass on demanding that governments be held to account for the entire world to see. And yes, they have seen. But unity, Mr. Speaker, has been violently gunned down in the streets, not by men, but by monsters who have no concern for human life. Although this government has demonstrated that lifeless Kenyan bodies are not to take precedence over their punitive finance bill, young Kenyans have looked their oppressor dead in the eye and shown them that when it comes down to the wire, there are only two times to be brave: when you feel like it and when you don't. My profound disappointment with the current government and its forceful assault on crowds of innocent youth, Speaker, by its nefarious police officers who have gone rogue on unarmed young citizens peacefully exercising their constitutional right towards an uncaring, a corrupt, and wasteful government in their eyes that has turned its back on them, cannot be emphasized enough, Speaker. The brute force used against young, unarmed protesters reveals the operating system built into the fabric of today's government. And when they kill us, Speaker, they're killing themselves. The arrogance from some of these top government officials has been outrageously condescending to young people, disgusting and reminiscent of narcissistic abuse. You call us wankers and clueless children of plunderers. Then you say you're proud of us for making our voices heard peacefully. Then abduct defenseless children using state machinery and escalate a peaceful demonstration of young people with phones, twigs, and water bottles in their hands into barbaric scenes of bloodshed. Young people, Mr. Speaker, were not out to kill. In fact, I was here on this premises yesterday when everything set off. And whilst I was separated from my security guard, Mr. Speaker, I also saw another member of parliament from the National Assembly who is a wheelchair user, who voted yes to the finance bill, also having been separated from his team and his aides and bodyguard. He was stranded, Mr. Speaker, couldn't run, couldn't hide in his wheelchair. And you know what happened when those kids entered this premises? 3 young boys saw this member of parliament who voted yes for the finance bill, and instead of reprimanding him, instead of reading him their minds, giving them a piece of their minds, you know what they did? They actually carried this member of parliament in his wheelchair to the tunnel so that he can go and seek refuge across in Bunge Towers. And then the 3 boys ran back and joined their fellow comrades. That's what happened. These kids don't operate in mendacity, Mr. Speaker. They are moral youth who are just trying to get their voices heard. So this peddling of a message or narrative that these youth are evil, they are killers and criminals, they're not. That is completely misguided and untrue. Why don't these policemen punch in their own weight class, Mr. Speaker? That's my question. I've been asking myself, would they come into Parliament and try and abduct or take on Aledama or Lekina? Would they be able to have the balls to come and abduct and violate the safety of Samson Cherargei? They wouldn't, Speaker, because they know that all they're doing is showing a brute force, using their shields and using their armor and using their artillery, pouring it on young defenseless Kenyans. And you know, clinical psychologists will tell you that narcissists will first love bomb you, then they'll manipulate you, then they'll gaslight you into believing their lies, then they devalue you, and finally, Speaker, they discard you once they have what they want. We young people have seen every single stage of these narcissistic behaviors in this government. And since they complained that over 8 million of us did not come out to have our voices heard in the 2022 elections, Mr. Speaker, we are here now. And an estimated 25 million came outside in every corner of the country yesterday to say that we reject this finance bill because we would rather die on our feet than live on our knees. We are not the generation who are silenced with every carrot dangled in front of them, Mr. Speaker. We are the generation that asks questions and demands accountability because we understand that we are rich, and only if the money that we refuse tastes better than the money that we accept. Gone are the days, Speaker, when governments can rely on using methods to numb their people through controlling the media, through controlling education, and controlling the church, which used to be houses of God, and now have turned into dens of thieves. So, Mr. Speaker,
those are some really, those are some very strong words there from the Kenyan MP, and I really wanted us to take a look at this example of a parliamentarian or member of parliament, as we know her, and we call them the people's representatives. That is what they're supposed to be. Whether you are a parliamentarian, you are a congressman, you are a senator, you are sent to Congress or to Parliament to go and represent your people. That is what your job is, to go and represent your people. This is a parliamentarian worthy of the title of parliamentarian, who saw injustice being meted against her constituents, and she stood up in Parliament and spoke against it, against the very government in which she serves. Now, let us compare this with what we see in La République du Cameroon. We have people there who call themselves parliamentarians. We have people there who call themselves senators. And we see violence being meted on the same people that they claim to represent. But none of them has the guts to stand up in Parliament and say the things that this lady is saying. Of course, we remember Honorable Weber, who was an exception amongst all of them. Honorable Weber stood up and did what this lady has done. And what happened to him? He was chased into exile. They wanted to kill him, and he had to run for his life. That is what it means to be the people's representative. So when in La République du Cameroon, those who call themselves the so-called parliament or senate that they have there, what you have there are the chaffs. Those are the chaffs. The real parliamentarians and senators, most of them are either dead, they've killed them, they're in jail, or they're in exile. What you have there are the chaffs. And you know, we grew up, we used to cook fufu content, if you remember. We'll have to sieve it, right? And the good fufu passes through, and what is left are the chaffs. So what you have in La République du Cameroon's so-called parliament and senate are the chaffs. They do not represent the people because they do not have the interest of the people at heart. Because you have a raging war that has been going on for close to 8 years now. Close to 8 years. And not one of them, except again for Honorable Weaver, who had the courage and the audacity to stand up and address the injustice that he saw happening to his people. No other person has had the guts to do it. Not one. And they call themselves the people's representatives. And then they will come out, as we saw in that first clip, they will come out and say they want to conduct elections. Elections. at the end of the day, it is the person they want that wins, because elections in that damn country don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. So I just wanted us to take this example of this MP. I will be proud to call her a member of parliament any day, anytime, because she deserves the title. She is there to protect the interests of her people, and that is exactly what she's doing. Dr. Ngwambe, I would like for you to use this example. What can La Republic Cameroon citizens learn from this? Because sometimes when we bring these things, they say that we are comparing with the Western world. Kenya is not in Europe. Kenya is not in the USA. Kenya is right there in Africa, and they are, as much as the youth are rising up. When you compare Kenya and La Republic of Cameroon, it's like night and day. But yet the Kenyans are even not satisfied with the condition they have, which is way better than anything that's happening in La Republic of Cameroon. Like this MP said, the youth are always peaceful until they are provoked into violence. Just as we were peaceful with peace plans on the streets of Ambazonia until we were provoked into violence. It is always the government that instigates the violence. Always, always, because they respond with violence. And when people's backs are against the wall, they have nowhere else to go but to push forward. And that is what we are doing in Ambazonia. Dr. Ngwambe.
So the first thing I want to talk on, I say, this our sister, Senator Crystal, I see, and I apologize if I don't pronounce your last name fine. In name Crystal, now either Asige or Asige, they spelled Asige. I don't know the correct way to pronounce them, but I really want to appreciate you for speaking on the behalf of the youth inside the Kenyan Parliament. When we Ambazonia, when we go get our own country, I really hope say we go cut a leaf, we go take a branch from the way our American brothers and sisters did by creating a Bill of Rights to protect the rights of Ambazonians based on things that we have suffered under La Republique du Cameroon's government, and that we will not want our government to be able to do with us and get away with it. And that right in America is referred to as in America, I believe it's either the First Amendment. Yeah, I think it's the First Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, and inside that freedom of speech, they protect the right to assembly and the right to petition the government. What to be the meaning of the right to petition the government? That means, say, if you see something where your government know they do fine, and you get grievance or you get concerned or you want to give your own input, you feel petition your government, you feel send letter, you feel give your own suggestion for that government, and then your government people, they don't go prosecute you because you be give criticism, constructive criticism with suggestion. Then the right to protest. We Ambazonia, we don't know how we don't suffer with La Republique du Cameroon, where anytime we come up for protest, they come out shoot we, they kidnap our family, they kidnap our relatives, they enter our villages, burn people, them arbitrary arrest, extrajudicial killings, all that kind of thing. Inside Ambazonia, we go forget inside our Bill of Rights a protected right to protest. It get for be protected, where government no go come for the kill people them for at nighttime the arrest people then disappear, all that kind of thing. It's not going to be acceptable in an Ambazonia. And we want an environment where our politicians, they go get opportunity for the debate inside Parliament and inside our Senate if we get a Senate. Especially if we get two chambers of Parliament, we get an opportunity for debate some of the things. And because we see inside La Republic their own Senate and their Parliament, politicians not get the opportunity for come present their own private member bills unless some kind of majority enter for support that bill, and then they subjugate people then made it not be able to talk freely, because you be see as our brother Honorable Weber, as if he talking on the minister of who was in charge there of that debate was trying to shout him down and trying to block him from expressing his mind and protecting the will of the Ambazonian people. So
even the speaker, their so-called speaker, was trying to hush him down. Yeah.
Yes, the speaker from French Cameroon trying to hush Honorable Weber down. But as you see, for this, our own sister, for Kenya, they nobody hush it down. They leave him, may he speak. And I really want to commend our brother for Kenya, because Kenya don't come a long way from the days of Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Arap Moi, where all we must say Daniel Arap Moi be Tonton do dictatorship for a long time, but then he transitioned to democracy. Moi Kibaki take over. And I think after he been what's the guy name again? The other Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now this our brother Ruto did it. Even though Ruto he get his own imperfections and the population that he hold the accountable now because of the actions of the insecurity forces. La Republic du Cameroon.
Dr. Kwame, what you are seeing here is one of the parliamentarians was trying to pass through. I don't know what town that is, and the population came out and said, we are not letting you through." And he had to turn around, and they were just lucky that the population did not pounce on them, but they were compelled to turn around. That's a complete rejection right there. That you don't belong here. You don't belong here.
That might you be see even for this whole situation, no. The president of Kenya, Mr. President Ruto, he actually took questions. He took questions from his population about people who had been killed. They held him accountable. Have you ever seen anything like that in La Republic du Cameroon? You don't ever see the media for La Republic du Cameroon hold Paul Biya accountable for the kind killings the way they don't happen. You don't ever see them hold Atanganji for the kind killings the way they don't happen. You don't ever even this Manfada Hamidou Yaya as he be the rig elections, arrest this which be Lapiro and all the kind of thing the way Manfada do. You ever see any of the political media be able to hold any La Republic du Cameroon CPDM politician accountable for the mischief where they do that their politicians? The answer is no.
But when Dr. Ngwambe, since where me are you there, which day you don't ever see Paul Biya she don't take question from the media? Since where me are you grow, so when you don't ever see Paul Biya she don't take question. You go see now maybe when he can stand like for that airport, like how we can stand declare war on we. You see a CRTV journalists go just can't stand asking some question where they don't prepare and get for it. When they probably don't subject yourself to the media for take questions, you interview God. How you do interview God? Because probably they are their God. Yeah.
Yep.
So, Chairman Patrick, let me ask you this. Let us compare this example again with Kenya. The Kenyan parliamentarians that spoke here, and even the attitude of the Kenyans. How is it that La Republique du Cameroon can continue to exist in relative tranquility, right? In relative tranquility from their citizens. I'm not talking from Ambazonians, from their citizens. There is nothing happening there as an uprising against their government, despite the fact that their government is it epitomizes corruption, poor governance, political dishonesty and stagnation. That is what that government is. Economic depression, electoral fraud, poverty, misery, and yes, death everywhere. And yet the people, the citizens of La Republique du Cameroon are so docile as if they've been drugged. As if they've been drugged. There's just nothing that will spur them into any action that can change the course of their destiny, which is just certainly going down the drain. So what is it? Is it that they've been hypnotized? What is the issue with La Republique du Cameroon citizens that they just do not seem to be able to rise up against those who are responsible for their misery? Well, infrastructure and everything. What is wrong with these people?
Chairman Mike, what you saw with that parliamentarian is an example of what the people expect from their leaders. Like Weber said, is you hold your leaders to task. They'll go out there and speak on behalf of the people. But if you go to La Republique and they have even a debate in their parliament, I'm sure like 80% of the parliamentarians will be sleeping. They will sleep through every discussions, and the only time you hear or see them in any action is when they come up to clap, or they are voting what has been given to them to vote on. They don't even know what they are voting. So this is a clear example of what African youth need to be doing. the population of Africa is now getting to that point where everybody understands if we do not chase away these old people, if we do not chase this bad governance, if we do not get up and take every single action and hold these leaders to task, it's going to be like this for the rest of our lives. And the next generation is going to come deal with it. If you look at what has happened in Kenya, these youths, they have a future. But the parliamentarians, the people are sitting up there enacting laws that are not going to even help them in one way or the other. So the youth are going to sit there when the parliamentarians are debating to enact laws. Whatever they were voting on this 2.9 billion finance bill, I will tell you a good chunk of it was going to be purchasing new cars for these parliamentarians. But the youth who are expecting to see parliamentarians vote on bills that will say, we want to build infrastructure, we want to build schools, we want to build something that people are going to have employment. People are going to come out and sell to those who are even working in those factories. That is not happening, and the parliamentarians have now seen for themselves that they were making a mistake. When the president of this guy, Ruto, who is the president of Kenya, came to power, the first thing he did was chastising the outgoing president for doing wrong things. He was the vice president for 8 years. Those are the kind of things that people don't do. When you are a leader, you were the most senior advisor to the president when you were there. Why did you not tell the president this is what we're supposed to do? I look at one analysis of what this guy has done. The former president was there for 10 years. He had about 60 international trips. The president before him, that was Mwai Kibaki or something like that. He had about 57 international trips for 10 years. But this guy, he's been there now for just 21 months. He's been out of that country 72 times. What is he running out there to look for? To beg from the international community? Or what is he trying to do? But now he is seeing for himself that he is not a good leader for that country. And when the finance bill was killed by him, the youth were not satisfied. So we should all understand that African youth, you have your future in your hands. If you don't come up, I know in La Republique, if somebody come up to do this, they will reduce the price of beer, and the youth will be running on the streets to go buy the alcohol and forget that they are supposed.
That is part of the reason why they are so docile, because at the end of the day, they drink their one bottle of beer or ever many bottles of beer they can afford, and they think life is good. That is one thing that if you really want to fix that country, you have to control the consumption of alcohol and other illegal drugs. Now, just 30 seconds there, Dr. Ngwambe.
Yeah, that Mike and Chairman Patrick, the one thing that I really wanted to press on, right, especially with our brother them for the people in the neighboring country of La Republique du Cameroon, our brothers and sisters who are in the neighboring territory called La Republique du Cameroon, your leaders have increased the price of national ID cards and the stamps that are required to be able to obtain that national ID card. And then instead of promoting homegrown industry and protecting your data and your privacy information, they have given the contract to produce that ID card to a foreign country, Germany. Do you think America, not Mike and Chebapa, do you think America would give the contract to produce ID cards to China or to Russia or to England or to France? Do you think America would do that? Are you kidding me? Even if let's say me, I'll be get for do the ID card and I don't do, I'm fine. At least they don't give me opportunity. I'll use that money for produce the ID card, then reinvest them for make better quality ID card.
Don't forget that TikTok is being threatened in the US because they think that is a threat. It is not that it will be taking America's information and selling, and they are trying to ban TikTok, or unless it is handed over to an American subsidiary to manage. That is how you protect the privacy of your citizens. But a lot of people will take theirs and hand it over to a foreign nation freely. Say, these are my people, take them, use them as you want. That is the country we are dealing with.
And technically, what is there is that La Republique du Cameroun is you all need to kick out that government and get a government that believes in you. Because when you have a government that believes in you, that's why they do the things they do. They go and get foreign people to come and issue you something as basic as an ID card. They go and get foreigners to come and coach your football team, for God's sake, as if Africans, Cameroonese, have not been playing football and they don't know how to play the football. I mean, it's rubbish. Kick CPDM out and get a government that believes in you, French Cameroonese. Get those guys out. I don't know what you all are waiting for, but I will not know.
Okay, let's since we don't have much time left, let's just go to another example, because it is not good that when we come up we only talk about the bad example. It's good to cite some good examples that La Republique du Cameroun, and by extension Ambazonians, can look up to as what we are fighting for. I like for us to play just a 1 minute clip of the president of Burkina Faso, who is another uprising, Ibrahim Traore. That's the person I'm talking about, Ibrahim Traore, who is coming up to be a promising leader, setting the kind of example of good leadership that we expect from our leaders in Africa. Someone who genuinely has the interest of his people at heart. Let us play that video of Ibrahim Traore. Though he's speaking in French, we just play a 1 minute excerpt of that video. And then
nous sommes ouverts et vous serez les bienvenus en Afrique. Ceux qui veulent investir dans l'agriculture sont les bienvenus. Ceux qui veulent investir dans la transformation sont les bienvenus. L'éducation, nous voulons transformer l'école. Parce que le formatage que nous vivons actuellement, c'est depuis l'école. Ils nous ont canalisés, de sorte que les intellectuels, pour la plupart, ne peuvent pas réfléchir, sortir des sillons qu'ils ont tracés. Dieu merci, les consciences sont en train de s'éveiller. On a besoin de plus, on a besoin de changer le système éducatif. Nous étions en train de piller nos richesses. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes en train de reprendre le contrôle. Et nous n'allons plus jamais laisser nos richesses piller, parce que nous avons envie de vivre, nous avons envie de voir nos enfants soignés, éduqués, grandir en paix et vivre dans un environnement sain. Donc, nous sommes ouverts et vous serez les bienvenus en Afrique pour développer votre continent, pour unir votre continent et passer le message de cette unité. C'est très important. Continuez à passer le message pour que les jeunes se réveillent, qui ne nous laissent plus, nous dirigeants, faire d'eux les esclaves pour les autres. Ça ne doit pas être permis. Il y a certains pays aujourd'hui où nous avons envie de passer des messages, mais je pense que vos voix portent encore plus. Parce que vous êtes des ambassadeurs partout où vous êtes, que ce soit en Amérique, en Europe, aux Caraïbes. Vous êtes des ambassadeurs. Et quand vous parlez, ça peut réveiller. Et je vous exhorte à parler. C'est une mission que je vous confie pour réveiller le continent. Passez le message pour éveiller les consciences. Certains gouvernants essaient d'endormir leur peuple toujours et continuent de piller leur peuple au profit de l'Occident. Il faut que ça cesse. Qui mieux que vous pour passer ce message aux différents peuples? L'Afrique doit se réveiller. Les jeunes doivent se réveiller et ne plus permettre à ce que la même politique continue. Ce n'est pas possible. Nous avons besoin de nous unir, mais ils ont toujours été là pour nous diviser, pour pouvoir mieux régner. L'esclavage, nos ancêtres l'ont vécu. Jusqu'aujourd'hui, nous en avons marre dans nos chairs. Mais ça continue. Nos grands-pères étaient déportés, torturés. Et encore, quand ils avaient leur guerre, on a été les soutenir. Ils nous ont payé en monnaie de singe. D'autres ont été tués lorsqu'ils ont essayé de revendiquer. Plusieurs d'entre eux sont morts dans leur village avec les séquelles de la guerre. On n'a jamais reconnu le travail de l'Africain. Notre mission, c'est d'abord d'éveiller l'Afrique. Et qui mieux que vous, de la diaspora, pour faire comprendre ce que c'est que l'Afrique. Aujourd'hui, notre combat, c'est pouvoir nous unir. Parce que unis, nous sommes forts. Divisés, on est faibles. Ils ont toujours travaillé à nous diviser. Je vous exhorte à passer le message pour que l'Afrique puisse s'unir. Nous avons la chance ou la malchance de vivre la guerre depuis quelques années.
So, yes, I would like for us to go through some of the things. Unfortunately, because of time, we cannot play the whole speech. The speech is available online for those who can access it. Please follow it and listen keenly to what he had to say. If I can get a few things amongst the many things that he said. What he is saying there is that Africa is open for investment, and we will allow you to come and invest in our country as long as your investment strategy or mindset is not that which you're coming to exploit us. We are open for investment, but it has to be fair, where it becomes a win-win situation, not one where our people suffer and those who are investing benefit. We are not going to allow our resources again to be stolen from us. We will take our resources and manage them for the good of our people. We will no longer allow our resources to be carted away for cheap. We will make sure that we institute an educational system that provokes innovation, creativity, and ingenuity in our youth to be able to create our own products here at home. That is exactly what we need. So he says, don't allow your leaders to make you slaves for others to come and exploit you. Do not allow your leaders to make you slaves so that others can come and exploit you, take your resources to go and develop their own countries while you remain languishing in misery. And then he says, well, they don't want us to unite. They don't want us to unite. They want us to remain divided so that they can continue to exploit us because we are weak. They don't want us to come together. And that is exactly what has happened to Africa and continues to happen. He says, we fought for them in their wars, but they paid us with pennies. Do not allow them to continue to manipulate you. Africa is rising, and Africa must rise. So, Dr. Ngombe, these are some of the few things that I picked from what he just said there. And I want you to explain to Ambazonians what we should learn from such exemplary leadership. A leadership that does not come in to show how much they can steal. You can see he is very modest. He is not driving in luxury cars. He does not have a large contingent of cars with him when he's going from one place to the other. And he has remained committed to the upliftment of the standard of living of the people of Burkina Faso. That is what he has done. And he has demonstrated not only in word, but in action. So no one can say that he's just running his mouth. You can see him doing the things that he says he wants to do. I want you to go on to explain to Ambazonians what we stand to gain or to benefit or to learn from such leadership as compared to the cesspool that we have been dealing with for the past 60 years.
Ultimately, my fellow Ambazonians, what this our great brother, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, is trying to teach us Africans and his own people first, but Africans in general, is that we need to rely on ourselves. You do not develop your country by relying on other people. It does not work like that. You do not develop your country by getting others to come and tar your roads for you. That's not how it works. You have to empower your homegrown industry if you want to be able to develop. You have to be able to protect your homegrown industry if you want to develop. Don't mind what the Western powers are talking about with this damn free market and all that kind of stuff, because there's no such thing as a free market. It's free market for you, but not for me. That's the way they operate. That's why you'll see they'll tell you don't put subsidies to keep the cost of oil low. Don't put subsidies to protect your farmers. But here in America, they put subsidies to protect their farmers. If you know, those of us who are here, we know what SNAP is, and this law that comes up every couple of years when they're renewing the budget to approve it, where they've tied the agriculture bill to funding feeding for poor people. They've tied that together, and that funding for poor people, how does that work, my fellow members? Let me break it down to you. How does it work? That funding goes towards agriculture, but then it also goes towards giving money or providing money to American people who don't make a lot of money in their income to be able to buy food that the agricultural industry in America is producing. So you see, it's like a round and round circle. The government is giving money to its people who are farming, and then giving money to the poor people who will buy food from the farmers. But then they tell you that you shouldn't do that in your own country. That doesn't make sense. That's why I say you cannot develop relying on other people to come and develop you. If you know that there's someone in your country that is able, like this ID card issue that I'm talking about, if you know someone who can locally produce that ID card, right? Test them out and say, I want you to produce ID cards for the Ministry of Education and see how they do. That will help them to build, you know, what we call a scale. We call it scaling now. Scaling, where you have the ability to do enough to cover more, and where you generate additional revenue and you can hire people. Governments, especially governments that are thinking about their country surviving, developing, and creating employment for its citizens, they protect their homegrown industry. They protect their homegrown entrepreneurs. So if you know someone who can produce an ID card, have them develop a business plan for how they'll be able to produce that ID card for a particular ministry or a particular city's government, and give them government money to do that. Then they'll be able to scale. If you know someone who, like we see all these are brothers, young, enterprising young men who we were seeing developing flying airplanes, flying helicopters, and just like that. Those are people you're supposed to be sending to the polytechnics and to other universities, and then you fund those universities to be engaged in research. That research will be able to be used inside the free market, and when they develop that market and they come out and they create industry, you begin to sell those things outside of your country. But it takes you, the government, to stimulate that. You can't go and bring outside industry to come and sabotage your internal market, and then you want your country to be independent.
As you are saying there, Dr. Ngwem, Dr. Ngwem, as you are saying there, the lack of industries within the country that is engaged in the production of, first of all, consumable products that the population needs is not for the lack of ingenuity. It's not of the lack of intellect. The environment is not ripe for such investments. The environment is what that stifles such innovations. Like you have rightly said, you have seen these boys, some making airplanes that can fly, some making these machines. How many times have you seen any of those kids taken in by the government, and this knowledge cultivated so that it gets to a point where they can now produce those things, first of all for a local consumption, and then for exportation. These boys come out with these things, and you see them on Facebook, and it dies down because nobody is there to encourage them, provide them the environment where this knowledge can be exploited and used for the good of the country. So that Republic of Cameroon is a place where innovation goes to die, where creativity goes to die. They do not encourage you. They do not encourage the youth to be engaged in entrepreneurship, in creativity, abstract thought. You are there just to be when they want to advertise a competitive exam as a teacher or a nurse. What are we doing with all that? What are we doing with all that, Chairman Patrick? Your audio.
That is a clear example of what a good leader is. This is what we talk about visionary leaders. This guy did not just come out and broadcast a ring road. He is talking about tangible and measurable aspect of what is going to change his country. And when he says this, he's also calling on the diaspora, because we know the diaspora is a big factor in every development. There are so many people out here today who can produce, who can write really good computer programs. People from La République descend who can write computer programs that can produce these ID cards at a fraction of what La République is going to be paying this country or Germany to produce in our own territory. Why are they not even thinking? But if you go into the details of what has been worked out in the background with some ministers or some directors, this company from Europe has paid these ministers a huge sum. They've put a lot of money in their bank accounts in Germany, and they've made sure they give them this contract. So if you see a country that has a vision, a leader like Abraham Traore, he is young. He knows he has 20, 30, 40, 50 years to live. He's in his 30s. He is creating the atmosphere where when he retires, he's going to be able to sit back and say, I did something for my country. But if you ask this question to those who are in La République, our own territory that we grew up in, the parliamentarians are in their 80s and 90s. The Speaker of Assembly is in their 90s. What do you think they have in a vision? So we are living like two different worlds. And that is what is scaring the mess out of these people, these old people in La République, because they see what these young youths are doing in their own country. They are enacting possible policies that are going to change the country for the next generation. They are not just doing things that will help them. Like, if you look at a good example, is like when La République talk about they are trying to, like Dr. Ngwabe said, they are trying to launch an exams. The first thing they are putting through is they increase the price of physical stamps. They know they want to recruit 20 people or 50 people, but they are going to make sure 7,000 people are registering for the exam. They want to just collect money. They are not doing something that you say, okay, they want to help the youth. If you look at every country that is building an infrastructure, that is building the future of their children, they start by creating community schools or technical schools that people can come out of that technical school within 6 months or 5 years or 2 years and start impacting the economy of that country. But if you go to the technical schools in La République or in our own area, where La République still have a foothold, they are making sure before you even get into those technical schools, you have to go through maybe the delegate of education or the principal and give them something for them to admit you, knowing fully well that when you come out of that school, you are going to create an impact in the society, in the community where you grew up, and you're going to help other people to succeed. So we are just
Chairman Patrick, let me say one thing here. Before I even say what I have to say, I just want you to see the vehicle that government ministers are driving there. That's like a Toyota Camry. That's a Toyota Camry you saw there. Is not some
I noticed the same thing.
car.
It's not a Pajero.
Now, with what you are saying, when La Republic creates a school, what do? They simply create it on paper. They don't do anything. It's not like those days where when they create a school, they build it. No, they just create it. I saw a technical school, like you were saying, a technical school where the students were going to school under a tree. What kind of technical school? What are you going to learn there? What machine are you going to plug your computer on the stem of a tree and have electricity flow through the computer so you can use it? When you have a technical school where the students are attending school under a tree, what kind of learning, what useful knowledge can be transferred in such an environment where that child will graduate and be able to go out there and execute and be able to be creative? You see, that's a Toyota Camry right there. That's the kind of vehicle that government ministers are using in Burkina Faso. It's not because they prioritize. I think I saw another video where he bought so many tractors and gave them out to farmers to encourage, to help them with their farming. But in La République Cameroon, they'll prefer to use that money to buy expensive cars and then drive those expensive cars on muddy roads that are not paved. That is what they will do. That is when you have leaders whose priorities are not aligned with the vision of developing the country for the good of everybody. That is what you get. That is what you get. And that is why we're showing these examples, because it is bad leadership that inhibits progress and development. And by the way, any country that does not learn to produce its own goods, if you are not able, especially locally consumable goods, if you cannot produce them, you will forever remain dependent on others. See, do you know how much La Republic of Cameroon spends each year on the importation of rice? Billions. And yet, that is something that we can produce locally very well. We will take the land and sell it to Chinese. They will leave their own country, come and cultivate it, and then turn around, sell it to us. And we sit there and we say we are poor. So that is our problem. Our problem is nothing but leadership. Change the leadership, and you see magic happen in that country. And that is what Ambazonia is striving to do. Dr. Ngwambe, these are the tractors I was just talking about. These are the tractors. Imagine if you gave the same amount of money to La Republic of Cameroon, you think they will buy these tractors? Even if they were to buy these tractors, I think they bought some tractors some time ago, and they abandoned them in the east, and they all rotted. These tractors rotted. This is what the Burkina Faso president has done. These tractors will go to help the farmers in the production of things that they will use locally first. Not one where they're telling you to focus on the cultivation of rubber and all these cash crops that we don't use. And then the Western world will come and buy them cheap. And then we are starving from rice and gari and all the other local crops that we consume. We don't have enough. That is the problem we have. Leaders who don't know what it means to lead. And that's why we are suffering.
So, one thing I just want to say about this leader of Burkina Faso, I also watched one clip that demonstrate or show the kind of car he is driving. He has a Land Rover that is maybe 1980 or 90 something that he is still using. He used that Land Rover while in the military, and he's still using that Land Rover. So if you can see a leader that doesn't look out for himself, he's looking out. That is the Land Rover right there. He's looking out for his country. Why don't you think this country is going to, how do you think this country is not going to progress? But if you go to La Republique, from the lowest level of an administrator is driving a Prado. But these Prados, you buy them from Europe, you buy them from Toyota for maybe 20 million, 25 million. But if you go to the budget of La Republique, they are putting about 80 million each of those Prados. So that is exactly how La Republique has never developed, because they over budget, they spend more than they can even chew. They spend more than what they are bringing in as revenue for the country. So it's so shameful, because sometimes when we talk about this, we look at ourselves. We grew up in this society. Do we really have anything to show for? People who study abroad go back home and they do the same thing. So we are just screwed with the kind of system that has grown up in La Republique that is even in some of our people's minds.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that point there, Chairman Patrick. Yes, for the sake of time, we will be round up very soon. But Chairman Patrick, I would like for you to take a moment and talk to the people on the ground about the fundraiser, not just the people on the ground, but even those out here in the diaspora, the fundraiser that is coming up for Momo. I think it's July 14th. Just take a moment to talk about that and educate the people and encourage them to come out and be part of that exercise, especially considering what Momo has been through recently. It is important to bring some stability in Momo, and that cannot be done without having in place some responsible forces that will be doing the right thing by the people. Please, over to you.
Well, Chairman Mike and Comrade Ngwambe, I just want to tell every Ambazonian on the ground, in the diaspora, or wherever you put your head, for understand, say, when we be start this fight, our goal be being a citizen, we go fight to the end. That is the reason why it doesn't matter how much we fight, how much we talk. If we know to put our hand for pocket, for system, make we push these things forward, we go keep talking and we see things that they die to go. When we sit back for inside Momo, we sit back inside Ambazonia, we evaluate where we don't go wrong, what we fit do differently, how we fit do things differently. The only way we go get La Republic for understand so this war is not going to end. That for we for put our hand for pocket for see so every single month we build La Republic for one corner. Every single day, La Republic they waka inside our territory, knowing that they waka on top eggshells. We not go sit back one day, talk say this will do our best if we stop for fund this revolution. On the 14th of this month, Momo picking them, they don't decide, say, we go make sure, say, La Republic, it not go get any foothold inside our territory anymore. When we see them, like today, the yesterday, and the day before, we look at Mezam, Fako, we even go down towards Meme and other territory them, where we get our fighters them. These our young people, they be don't decide. The diaspora becoming is support them. And we go continue for support them for CC, make La Republique du Cameroon, it pack their chin, it come off our territory. We don't give them so many times. They don't play the games where they always play for announce, say, oh, we'll get a project for Limbet, Seaport, we'll get a project for Ring Road, we'll get a project for Baminging Dam or whatever. We're not there for that one story again. Our moment now that for system make we fight, make we fund this revolution, and every Momo Piki they out there, every Ambazonian where they out there, even if you didn't have which corner, even if you don't take yourself, you sit back, you look the revolution, you think about them twice. Now, moment this will come back together, we get a team in place for Sicily. So make we move this revolution forward, make we give way to where this boy them, they request them on the ground, and we'll go see which way it go take way to Amazonia, and we go take way to Boya as soon as possible. With the cry, with the beg, and with the ask for every son of Amazonia, not talk about this revolution if you not put your hand for pocket for Sicily. So make we move this thing forward together as one. We're not going to let some misguided Amazonians, where they look now for fight for power, they keep enacting laws, policies where it instead affect our people. We go move this revolution forward, even if we remain not just a few people. But at this point, we call on every Amazonian for come out massively on Sunday for chipping which way if you chip in for Sicily, so make we move our revolution forward. And I want to thank everybody we don't put their head together, they don't cry. He say, I know if you go back home, if I don't fight, if I don't contribute for fight this revolution. I thank you plenty, and I want to see everybody on the 14th of August, make we come out massively for this fundraiser for Momo.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Patrick. Thank you for coming out again today. We appreciate you for. I think the notification will come to you late, and I appreciate the fact that we'll be able to make the time for be here. And Dr. Ngwambi, before I give you the microphone, I go announce you for years. Say, Comrade Chris, when I understand, say it make a tour, the worker for see Ambazonians talk for them, get a feel of how they feel about this struggle. And the next stop, if it don't be for DMV area, the next stop it will be the Mid-Atlantic, where it come up on the 13th of July. 13th of July. That is the day before the Momo fundraiser. It will be for the Mid-Atlantic. With Mid-Atlantic, we talk of Mid-Atlantic, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Connecticut, and all those areas around it. So it will be for this area, for meet Ambazonians, chat with them, get a feel of how they did, you see the struggle they go, maybe get small discussion. So we call on everybody where they within this area, make you come out on July the 13th for the meet Comrade Chris, shake your hand. If you get question for ask him, he will be ready for answer your question. You know, say, Nama, we need to fear for answer any question. So come out, meet he, talk with you, make we sit down, we go make small barbecue first, and then we go sit down for evening, we talk with the president. So we look forward for see all man may come out. That means say after this weekend tomorrow, the following weekend, Saturday we go meet with Comrade Chris. Then on Sunday, now the day where the Momo fundraiser it will be. So Dr. Ngwambe, your final statements, please. Dr.
Yeah, Dan Mike, I want to thank you for
okay.
I want to thank you for inviting for having us on the program today, and thank our brother Chairman Patrick for joining us, and the Ambazonian people and our liberation fighters. We are together. We are fighting for a country where our leaders are going to listen to us, and where we are going to be able to impact what our governance is like, what our development is like. You see what our brother Ibrahim Traore is doing? That is going to be even on the next level. You see what's going on in Kenya? It's going to be on the next level in Kenya. When we buy tractors, we're going to make sure that we're going to have people who know how to drive those tractors and how to repair those tractors. When we engage in trade deals for raw materials that are coming from our country, we're going to include technology trade as part of those trade deals, so that they're not just giving us money, we're also getting some ability to be able to catch the fish ourselves, as opposed to just being given fish. God bless the people of Amazonia. We are together. Take care and have a good night.
Thank you, Dr. Ngwambe. Thank you for coming on. Yes, fellow Ambazonians, we have brought to you the various good examples of either a parliamentarian or a leader who is visionary and has the interest of his people at heart. We saw the Kenyan parliamentarian, and we have seen the example that President Traore of Burkina Faso is setting for his people. We bring you these examples so that you can compare with what we have and ask yourself if you are getting a fair shake. Are you getting a fair deal from those who claim to lead you? And if not, what are you determined to do to make sure that the situation changes for the better? That is why we are here, because we have had a raw deal for more than 60 years, and we are saying enough is enough. We must chart a new path for our people, so that one day, our children will stop taking the risky trips, maybe through the ocean or through the jungles of Mexico, many of them being killed, many of them being taken in as slaves and abused in all manner and shape. So we are fighting not for ourselves, but for our children, our children's children. And I'm saying to you to join us, do not relent. Freedom is not cheap. Freedom does not come easy. As the saying goes, nothing good comes easy. So let us continue to march on this journey to freedom. And while you do so, conduct yourselves in the most honorable manner, especially our ARFs, our fighters on the ground. Conduct yourself in a manner that portrays that you are there for the people, that you are there to protect the people, not to victimize them, not to molest them, not to abuse them. That is not what we are here to do. So I thank you all for watching. Take good care of yourselves and each other. And with that, the war zone is out. Good night.